Well, let me just show you an example. One of the prophecies Christians cite to show Messiah is more than a man. He's divine, he's God, appearing as a man, because he becomes a man, and he's distinct from the Father, whom all nations must worship, is Daniel 7:13 and 14. But then they're going to say, well, no, it's not about Messiah. It's a symbol for the nation of Israel. All right, we're going to get to that. And I'm going to show you Jesus claims to be this man that Daniel saw, the prophet. I saw in the night visions, and behold, with the clouds of heaven, there came one like a son of man. Son of man in Aramaic means a human. Like a human, because he's more than human. Now watch his glory. He came to the Ancient of Days. Now, brother, count with me. Son of Man comes to the Ancient of Days. So they're two distinct persons. The Ancient of Days would be whom we call God the Father. So he comes to him. When he comes to him, what happens? And was presented before him. Now watch his glory. He was given dominion and glory and kingdom, that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. He will be served by all peoples from all nations and all languages. For how long? His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom one that shall not be destroyed. Did you catch it? So this figure who appears as a man approaches Ancient Days, so that's two. He sits enthroned with him, and he rules forever, and his kingdom will never be destroyed. So all peoples from all nations must serve him forever in all languages, right?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not used to replying.
No, because I need to
just listen to you.
when I'm not going too fast for you. You caught it?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Now, watch who Jesus claims to be. Mark 14:61 and 62. But he was silent and made no answer. Again, the high priest asked him, are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed? Now, notice Jesus' answer. And Jesus said, I am, and you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the power, meaning the Father, and coming with the clouds of heaven. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, I've heard.
Who's Jesus claiming to be? Son of Man who comes with the clouds of heaven. Who is that?
The person that David saw in his... Is it David that saw...
Daniel.
Daniel, sorry, in the vision, yeah, of course.
So now walk with me. If Jesus claimed to be the Son of Man that Daniel saw, and that Son of Man rules forever, he's an eternal king, and his kingdom cannot be destroyed, and all nations and all languages, all peoples must serve him, then by claiming to be that Son of Man, isn't Jesus claiming to be an eternal king who is more than a man, who's distinct from the Father, and everyone will serve and worship him forever?
Yeah, of course.
So that means if Jesus claimed that and Daniel prophesied that, Islam is false for denying that the Messiah is God in the flesh. But wait, do the rabbis agree this is Messiah? Here you go. Abad.org is an Orthodox Jewish website. They provided their own translation of the Old Testament. They call it the Tanakh. And they give you the commentary of Rashi, a renowned medieval rabbi. I was in the visions of the night, and behold, I'm reading it backwards, with the clouds of heaven, one like a man was coming, and he came up to the Ancient of Days and was brought before him, right? Okay, well, now watch the commentary. This is now Rashi's commentary right here. Okay, one like a man was coming. Who is it? That is the King Messiah. Who?
The King Messiah, yes.
Wait, you're telling me a rabbinic Jew agreed with Jesus, Son of Man is Messiah?
It's crazy.
So you have the Old Testament agreeing with the New Testament, agreeing with Jesus, and rabbis agreeing these passages about Messiah, which means that Jesus is not a mere man. Jesus is God in the flesh, the God-man, distinct from the Father, but rules with the Father forever, and every nation must worship him forever or you'll be punished. Meaning Muhammad had to worship him. Muslims have to worship him. I was just going to say, it's one of the massive things that I've got to say to the Muslims is this whole idea of, like, even if they don't believe Jesus is God or whatever they want to go with, the sunnah that they say that they follow, that they say they're following a sunnah because it's a good example and because God says to follow the messenger and things like that. I just don't see why Muslims don't make this example Jesus. I mean, Jesus seemed to be a far better man than Muhammad. Muhammad was clearly flawed, clearly a sinner. Exactly. Even if you believe he was a prophet, he was clearly a sinner. But Jesus seems to be the best example that's walked the earth. So if we're going to follow a sunnah, why not follow the sunnah of Isa, as it were? Yeah, I agree. But because sadly, brother, the Quran contradicts Daniel and Jesus and the rabbis here. Chapter 17, verse 111. So you read Daniel, admit there were two, right? The Son of Man coming to the Ancient of Days. That's two, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus, he's the Son of God, who's that Son of Man who sits at the right hand of the power, right?
Yeah.
and Jesus reigns forever, and the rabbis agree that the Son of Man is Messiah. But the Quran says, no, that's not true. Here it is, chapter 17, verse 111. Here, read with me. I'm using now Quran, not Hadith. And say, praise be to Allah, who hath not taken unto himself a son, and hath no partner in the sovereignty, nor hath he any protecting friend through dependence, and magnify him with all magnificence. So the Quran says Allah has no partner in the dominion. Daniel says the Father has a son as his partner, and Jesus says, I am the Son of God, I'm his partner, and I rule forever. And the rabbis agree the Messiah is God's partner who reigns forever, but the Quran contradicts all this. That's chapter 17, verse 111. And this is also in chapter 25, verse 2. So friend, you got Old Testament, New Testament, rabbis all agreeing these passages are about Messiah, and Jesus fulfilling them according to New Testament, showing Messiah is God in the flesh, the Son of God, who reigns forever and must be worshipped by everyone, but the Quran denies it. I think it's time for you to come home and forget Muhammad. Chapter 25, verse 2. He unto whom belongeth the sovereignty of the heavens and the earth, he hath chosen no son, nor hath he any partner in the sovereignty. He hath created everything and hath meted out for it a measure. But Jesus says, Quran, you're lying. Daniel says, Quran, you're lying. Rabbis say, Quran, you're lying. The Father's partner in the sovereignty over the heavens and the earth is the Son who became flesh, Jesus Christ, the Son of Man, Son of God. He is the Father's partner who rules with him forever, and the Father wants everyone to honor his partner and serve him forever. So why are you still following the Quran?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's amazing that this is the point that you end up coming to, because those verses are the ones that I'm telling you that I've been stuck on. Every time I open the Quran, it goes to them. So yeah, quite strange that that's just happened. I do have...
Brother, if you go to a court of law and you have multiple witnesses and hostile witnesses agreeing with Christianity, because the rabbis are hostile witnesses, and the Old Testament is before Christianity, and they all agree, and then you have one isolated voice, the Quran. In the court of law, who wins? Who wins? Your laughter tells it all, right? So when you stand before the judgment seat of God, you stand before the judgment seat of God, and then God shows you the evidence. Wait, you had the Old Testament, the prophet. You had the rabbis. You had Jesus and his followers. And you had all this evidence pointing to one direction. Jesus, the Son of God, Lord of glory, the eternal King, whom all must worship. And you then stuck on the isolated opinion of the Quran, which you don't even know its historical context, because it doesn't give you the context, because you rejected Hadith, and you still chose to follow the Quran over against all the witnesses that I gave you in my love for you to show you this is the path, this is the way, because I want you to be saved.
Well, this is the point that I find myself in now, and this is what I was hoping you can help with, is that I find myself trapped between two faiths that tell me I'm going to hell if I believe in the other.
There is no two faiths. If even the rabbis tell you, Milo, I'm listening to what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Say Isaiah 53 is about Messiah, where he would suffer and die. Did the rabbis say the Son of Man of Daniel is the Messiah?
Yeah. I mean, even
the rabbis say
is the Messiah.
Say it again.
Even the Quran says Jesus is the Messiah.
So now follow the logic. If the rabbis are telling you, Isaiah 50, which I read, which you were astonished, about the servant dying for our sins, 700 years before Jesus, and they say that's Messiah. And the rabbis say Daniel 7, the Son of Man who comes, who will be worshipped and rules forever, is Messiah. And the rabbis say Isaiah 9:6, a child who is born is the mighty God. God being born as a male child, meaning from a woman. That's exactly what we teach. The virgin gave birth to Emmanuel, God with us. That's Messiah. And the rabbis say Psalm 2:7, where God says, you are my son, today I begotten you. That's Messiah. If the rabbis are even confirming this is Messiah, and you're admitting Jesus is Messiah, and the New Testament quotes these same verses about Jesus being Messiah, you end up with Jesus being the mighty God, being born from a virgin as a male baby, the Son of Man who rules forever as eternal King, who died for your sins because he loved you and rose again, never to die again. Then there is no two faiths, there's only one, because even the rabbis are confirming the Christian faith.
Yeah, this is all amazing stuff. I mean, all the fingers point in one direction, really, don't they?
That's it. Now, I won't force you to, that's up to you, but I'm letting you know, if you're going to be honest with your conviction, you got to die to how you feel about the Quran, and you got to just go with the facts. Facts are stubborn things. They don't care for your feelings or your opinion.